Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy right here. This is the NiteCore Lights tip number 2. You may recall from the channel's earlier past, I have reviewed the NiteCore tip in the past. It was a very different light in a lot of ways, had a single emitter and whatnot, but this is the tip 2. And so I'm glad to take a look and see what they've changed. But first off, full disclosure, this guy was provided to me directly by NiteCore. They sent this along. I told them, as always, I'm going to talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. Might be a gem, might be junk. They still sent it along, but we have to assume this is the best quality controlled one of these guys ever, and I've done my best not to let that affect the quality of my review here. So there you go. Next thing, size comparison. This isn't a big light. Here it is against a standard 18650 battery, which is currently stuck to it due to the magnets that are mounted inexorably inside this unit. Here it is against a CR123. Oh my god. Yeah, sure, just be attracted. Why not, right? Here it is against the TrueNite T1, which is also magnetic. All right. Another baton style light. Here it is against the TAC D25A, AAA style light, the Rovi Vaughan Aurora A8. And the NiteCore, it's big, 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 brother. The NiteCore 10,000 lumens TM10K, which makes this guy look positively minuscule, although there is a clear family resemblance among them. So anyways, there you go. That's your size comparison. Like I said, this is already a follow-up to the original tip, which I reviewed previously, and which I liked, except for the damn lack of lockout mode, which, yeah, unfortunately, they've not fixed. But anyways, we'll get back to that later on. Pardon me. And... oh, wow. Sorry, guys. I've been a little sick here. But anyways, then finally one thing to note. There are no beam shots in this. A lot of people watch my reviews like, I was waiting for you to go outside and show off the beam. Thing is, I film on a cell phone. There is no way to get a high-fidelity beam shot for you on a freaking iPhone. So don't expect that. If you're looking for that, there are other reviews out there in the world. So let's go ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. This very interesting little light on here. So to start with, on this guy, it has a nice floody reflector. This guy here, I'll turn it on to turbo mode. You can see it's illuminating a pretty wide area here. And especially as you get further away, the fact that it's got these two different emitters gives you a very amorphous sort of pattern. It's very floody. It's not going to be great for spotting things, across a freaking canyon, but this is not what you want to spot things across a canyon with anyways. So, problem solved. That's to me at least, a very good beam pattern for everyday carry. Next thing, it is it has good outputs. It's got a 750 lumen turbo. If you hold down this top mode, that triggers that. You have a 200 lumen high, so if I hold this down, this puts us into a low, medium, high, low, medium, high, and the low is 30 lumens, the medium, actually, I don't know what the medium is. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry, the low on this guy is that the 1 lumen mode? No, this is the 1 lumen dragonfly, firefly mode. Then there's a medium setting whose numbers I forgot to write down here. Hold on. There we go. And then the high setting is 200 lumens. And you get about an hour, 1.25 hours in high, 8 hours in the 30 lumen low mode, and 55 hours at the 1 lumen mode. The thing is, though, look, all of those numbers, they're fine, they're fun and whatnot, but in practice, this makes a fine flashlight. Carrying this guy, just walking around the neighborhood or something like that, this was a fine little light. It has more than enough light, I think, for most everyday uses, especially for a lot of short duration sorts of uses. It is absolutely an actual flashlight, so to speak. It is a light that stands up well to other sorts of actual pocket-sized flashlights. It's not giving you 10,000 lumens, but it doesn't have to. It's a nice little light, and it has enough output for enough time that this is a serious flashlight, and that's good. Next thing, the color on this guy is fine. What I mean by that is, how is the color rendering? It's a little bit on the cooler blue side. I don't know that they've got like a niche option or anything like that, but it works. It's okay, and it's a relatively consistent color, which is important. Next thing, on the back here, you do have a keychain loop, and interestingly, this keychain loop is being held on with... there we go, a set of magnets. You have these two magnets right here mounted into the handle, and that is actually also covering the USB recharge port, which we'll get there in a second. But basically, the way that you detach this from your keychain, then it works better if you've got it on a keychain, because it gives you more to yoink from, but still, is you just pull. And then after a certain amount of tension, it breaks free, and then you've got the light there. So you can take it off your keychain very quickly, if that's the approach you're taking, or at the very least, you can use this to cover up that USB port. Which brings us to the next point here, which is that this has a USB port. Look, I like USB rechargeable lights. I'm at the point now where I'm not really interested in lights that don't USB recharge. Because, well, I'm tired of weird charges and weird sizes, and especially in these small sizes, it tends to be something... No, just give me a freaking micro USB port and we're done, and this does that. Plug the USB port in. These little 3 dots, they illuminate to show you whether, what the charge level's like, etc. That is a great thing. And so you have that option there, and I appreciate that, because I think at this point, most people have relatively easy access to a micro USB charger for your cell phone or something like that, and that makes this a long-term sort of investment you can, hold on to and recharge without dicking around with watch batteries and things like that. Then, finally, on the good side, this has it has a 30-second shutoff mode. So what I'll do here is I'll turn this light on here, and we will just kind of let it wear down a little bit. But basically, it starts off in demo mode, and demo mode shuts down after 30 seconds automatically. I might not actually be in demo mode. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll find out here shortly. But that sets all. It shuts the light down after 30 seconds, no matter what. This is a good idea if you're on a keychain because, well, after a certain point, it will turn off. So even if it does get inadvertently triggered by the other keys in your pocket, at worst, you're losing 30 seconds worth of light time. See, okay, there we go. Yeah, we're in demo mode here. So that's just a safer approach. You get light for a fair amount of time, but it doesn't stay on forever. However, you can actually hold down both buttons, and that switches modes such that now when I put this guy on, pardon me, it will stay on until I stop it. And that's a nice thing as well. So you've got that option there. And if you're doing this on a keychain, that demo mode might be a better approach. So anyways, let's go on ahead and summarize the good here, where you've got that 30-second demo mode, which can be good in some situations. It is USB rechargeable. Down behind the back there, here, I'll just shut it off. That seems wasteful. It is an interesting approach to keychain access, what with this magnetic affair going on here in the back. Has a cool color, but it works fine. It's consistent, a nice floody reflector, and good outputs. It's more than adequate for indoor and some outdoor work. It's a real flashlight here. On the great side to me is the form factor. This thing is not very big. I should actually give you some real measurements as I'm doing this. In practice here, we are looking at someplace in the vicinity of 1.05 inches or 26 millimeters here. On this dimension, we are looking at, with the keychain thing on, we're looking at 2.29 inches or 58 millimeters here. And we are looking on this dimension here at about 0.527 inches. It's probably more, significant figures than I can promise you here. But about 0.52 inches and 13.4 millimeters. So, there you go. That's not a big light. I mean, if we compare this guy to a standard AA battery, we can see that thickness-wise, it's actually a little thinner than a AA. In terms of length, it's only slightly longer than one. This is just real easy to carry in your pocket, and particularly when you put it on this little pocket clip guy, which we'll talk about later. This can slide very, very easily into the key pocket of your jeans or of your pants. I mean, if you've got that pocket, this is really great for it. So, to me at least, this form factor is really nice. And compared to some of the other baton-style lights, which are just thicker, it's really hard to throw a big round thing in your pocket there without looking like you're happy to see somebody. Whereas this guy just slides easily into a pocket and could, in theory, I guess, live on your keys. So to me, that's what's great here is the form factor. On the bad side, like I said, the light color on this guy, the color rendering isn't great, but again, that's not crucial. The color is at least consistent, which is, really the most important thing, at least if you're going to go that route. So there you go. Next thing, I'm not a big fan of random strong magnets. Because, any kind of light here with a very strong magnet in it, and by the way, this is a magnet that is strong enough to interfere with the things in your life here. This is just a random pair of steel tweezers, and you can see here, this has been just messing with me. And not only does that lead to fun interactions with tweezers and whatnot in your life, but more importantly, hotel key cards and mechanical watches and things like that can be affected by these. And unfortunately, the magnets are mounted inside the light itself rather than inside this back cap, which means that even if you wanted to, you couldn't, take those guys out and just carry it with this port open, put something in there. So I'm not a big fan of that. I kind of wish that they also, that they mounted the magnets in here, and more importantly, that they gave us a little rubber cap to seal that port if we wanted to carry it without this extra cap, which just adds a little bit of bulk and adds a whole bunch of magnetism. So that's not a great thing. Next thing, this might be a problem for some people, but this light does not have a strobing disco mode. You know, for tactics or something. That's a little strange. A lot of lights do. That doesn't bug me in the least. In fact, I would consider that a pro, but actually I was trying to recommend this to a buddy recently, and he really wanted a strobe mode, and it was like, oh, okay, well, there you go. So do keep that in mind. Not a big deal, though. Next thing, the clip on this guy does add a lot of bulk here. This is a slightly bulky little light here, especially with that here. It's adding on both dimensions, and it's also plasticky. It's finicky. It's not something I'm super in love with. So I don't know. I wish that they had gone with, you know, a metal clip, at least an optional sort of clip like this, which just would have been more compelling, I think, on this light. Sorry about that. Just had to close a window that just popped up randomly. So, anyways, that's not something I'm super in love with. I wish that this clip would done a little bit better, and frankly, just yeah, I wish this whole thing would done a little better in terms of cliption. There you go. Next thing on this guy, unfortunately, pardon me, guys. Unfortunately on this guy, the keychain light designation, it's a little generous. I don't know how your keychains work, but this is not a tiny light. This is not a tiny little thing. And for me, at least, having this on my keychain, and by the way, being very magnetic, which is going to interact with all the other things on your keychain, just turned out to be very awkward. I tried carrying it on my keychain briefly, and it was just like, no, that's not a keychain sort of item. Also because of reasons like, for instance, the lens on this guy is quite nearly flush with the end. And given that it appears to be some sort of a plastic or acrylic material, that will take scratches. And especially from your keys, yeah, that's not going to look great over time. It is also magnetic, and frankly, it's just not that small. There were lots of keychain lights out there in the world, but I really wish that they had focused on this as being a small pocket carry light, and, you know, invested in a clip that's worth a damn, rather than pretending this is a keychain light, because I think for a lot of folks, this on a keychain is not going to be ideal. So, to me at least, that's what's bad here. It is a keychain light, but not really. It is the clip adds a fair amount of bulk. There is no disco mode. I'm not a big fan of these random strong magnets. That doesn't really do it for me particularly. And, you know, overall, I don't know. They could do a little better with the color, although it's not a major issue here. So, on the ugly front, there is just one ugly issue here, and that ugly issue is the fact that unfortunately, they still don't have a lockout mode. Guys, come on. This is a small candy bar style light. There is no way to hardware lock it out. Like, for instance, on a lot of these lights, if I untwist the cap a little bit, it will no longer turn on no matter what, come hell or high water. Whereas on this guy, there is no way to do that. I mean, short of removing these screws, there is literally no way I can prevent this light from turning on. I can put it in the demo mode, which means it will turn on for no more than 30 seconds at a time. But still, guys, that's not good. I mean, how hard is this to do, really? I mean, you could do a lockout mode that would be very easy. Just like click, 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 unlocks it, click, 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 locks it. Guys, this is not hard. There are ways that they can do this, and they just keep freaking not doing it. And it bothers me every time. They just need to include a hardware lockout, or a software lockout mode. If you can't do it in hardware, you need to do it in software. And especially if you're going to have this be something you just throw in your pocket, you want this to not accidentally turn on. So the fact that they continue to not have a lockout mode for this guy is really unimpressive to me. I'm just not a big fan of that, and I wish desperately, freaking desperately, that this were, that were an option for us there. So, to me at least, that's the ugly thing here, is that, guys, you need a lockout mode. It's time. You need a lockout mode. There is no other freaking way around it. So, there you go. Pardon me. On the final conclusions front, look, this guy is an interesting light, in that its form factor is great. It's a flat light, it's got the buttons on the side, ergonomically it's good to go, plus you get very reasonable brightness, USB rechargeability, and, you know, an interesting and novel approach to the keychain mount that is very easy to remove, provided you have either a keychain or a tool nearby. And also allows to cover that USB cable. So, you know, at some level, it's very nice. The light is, however, not devoid of issues, in that the color isn't great, the clip isn't really super well done, there is no lockout mode still, and I just don't know whether this is going to be a good keychain choice for a lot of folks. But that said, it remains a surprisingly capable light for its size. This is a very good light for just tossing in the coin pocket of your jeans before a walk. It is a perfectly reasonable intermediate step between the phone light and your actual serious flashlights. Is it enough light for every task? Not really. So certainly there are going to be times where you're going to need 10,000 lumens, or you're just going to need more durability, where a full-size everyday carry light might be a better choice for you. But in many situations, it will be enough light, and this form factor makes it easy enough for you to carry. Because at the end of the day, the very best flashlight is one you have with you, and I think this little guy might help. So there you go. I think if you're looking for something small and carryable, maybe keychainable if you've got the world's biggest keychain, then you know what? It might not be a bad idea to give yourself a little tip here. Okay, anyways, there you go. Hope this has been interesting. Have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.